on the Ozarks CW continues.
Good morning. We begin with record flooding in the Kansas City area.
A dangerous situation up there right now, and we're keeping an eye on a rescue situation underway near 103rd and Warnall. Meantime, we have our own situation here.
Here's Brandon with the county's under a flash flood warning for the next several hours. Brandon.
Yeah, it is not as severe as what was in Kansas City a little while earlier, but it is still heavy rain. In most cases, this is just going to be a nice soaking rain, which is exactly what we need. This developed farther south than expected, so lots of rain out there. It's picking up in Springfield a bit. Heaviest rain right now runs from about Greenfield up through the Bolivar area, not quite to Morrisville. Pleasant Hope. Another batch of heavier rain here in the southwest part of Camden County, probably between Camdenton and Max Creek. And then we've still got heavy rain back up here just north of Vernon County, and that's kind of sliding southeast. So several counties from just north of Bolivar on north through Truman Lake, Lake of the Ozarks, Hermitage, Wablo, Osceola, Stockton, all under flash flood warnings through early afternoon. I don't think this is going to last all day. There should be a weakening trend, and then we may get some sun this afternoon, which of course means some steam, but I've got that and a great weekend forecast coming up in a few minutes.
We mentioned record flood levels on the Indian Creek up there south of downtown Kansas City.
This is our NBC affiliate. Let's listen to this live report.
Indian Creek really has spilled over, and since then a current has been built up. Now, it's not abnormal for workers to stay at coaches either late into the night or early on in the morning. We know this because we have talked with the owners on past stories, and they've given us that rundown before. But right now, you can just imagine how scared they must be, because that water is coming significantly up the glass, probably at least like halfway. So they're watching this rushing water that does have a fast current. We've been talking with you guys all morning saying that the creek crested at about 27 feet. That is 2 feet above the flood stage. Now we're going to take a look maybe way in the back. You can see some of these fire crews. Again, they're walking. They're obviously getting their rescue plan in place. You can see it. They are totally ready to go into that raft. They've got their life vests. They've got wheels and pulleys and anchors just to be sure that they're bringing all of the equipment so that, again, there's going to be room and they're going to be able to get into churches, or rather Coach's Bar and Grill. Now, let's also take a look at what was 103rd Street. You can see probably about 6 cars that are submerged. This is where crews did water rescues earlier today. At this point, it's unclear if people were trying to drive, make it through, but we know that they were in their car for some reason. So maybe their vehicle was parked here and they were trying to get home, or maybe they just thought they could pass it. But that is something crews say absolutely do not do. If you see water that's standing or water with a current, it doesn't matter how high it is, but really you can wind up in a situation like this. It's also possible that a couple of these cars did get moved down from the dealership, and that's because the water was so high up here. We did see an employee from the car dealership we're at right now. He was walking away very upset, understandably so. You can also see both of the red vehicles have probably moved 3 to 5 feet since we've been here. At one point, the water was so high up it was almost covering the cab of the red truck. But one of these vehicles, the red one that's in the front, they actually were hooked up to earlier. Fire crews were trying to move it out of the water, but instead what ended up happening, it hit another SUV. That alarm was actually going off for quite some time. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the shopping center so we can put some perspective on just how high up this water is going. It is rushing into a lot of these businesses. The China King, we have seen just so much damage there because the current, that's the business very closest to the creek, and the current really, it's just pushing everything around. It's broken the glass to their window, all of their windows. It has pushed their door aside. All of that water, again, it's over the roadway. It is still over the roadway for Warnall, and this has been going on for hours. Really, the flash flooding started around 2:30, 2:45 when rain just was coming down so hard. We're sitting someplace in the middle between 7 and 8 o'clock, and this water is still over Warnall Road. It's done considerable damage. It looks like it's uprooted some trees and certainly pushed debris up against the bridge. It also did structural damage and really tossed the railing, just like it was a Kleenex, something very heavy again. It really had to uproot that, change the structure of the bridge, and then just throw around this railing. This is something we will continue to keep you updated. Fire crews do want to let you know that they are all up and down Indian Creek. as well as a nearby apartment complex, seeing if there are any more cars that may be in jeopardy or maybe could get moved around, because they just don't want more damage to happen than already has.
That's our NBC affiliate in Kansas City. Indian Creek cresting at 28 feet now, 2.5 feet above the record level. And it looked like at the beginning there we were seeing emergency crews carrying something, and we had a situation at Coach's Bar and Grill early this morning.
The owner and one other person inside. The owner telling local media there that a wall caved in. They climbed up into the rafters of that building. You can't see it from our vantage point, but that's what the owner is telling local media there in Kansas City. Another person trapped in that same area in a barbecue business, also up in the ceiling.
Several water rescues overnight.
Creeks overflowing, including Turkey Creek and several others, and all of them reaching record levels too.
Tomahawk Creek in Overland Park and Leawood threatening homes and businesses there. All of this started early this morning. More than 7 inches of rain just drenching areas since midnight.
We are seeing that I-35 is back open. If you're heading that direction, well, you might want to put the brakes on and just wait a while, because it's a dangerous situation up in Kansas City.
Parts of I-70 were closed as well.
Yes. New this morning, a Mountain Home man missing for more than a week has been found dead. The Baxter County Sheriff confirms they found the body of 33-year-old Brandon Comstock. A citizen found the body in a parked car last night. Comstock went missing on July 17th. An autopsy will be performed to determine the cause of death.
A Bolivar man is dead after a crash in Saline County. Troopers say 66-year-old Richard Slack died when his semi ran off the road yesterday and then burst into flames. In Stone County, a motorcyclist was killed in a crash between 2 cars. Troopers say 26-year-old Houston Thomas of Lampe did not yield while making a left turn on Highway H and hit the back of a car. Then another vehicle struck him head on.
West Plains police are looking for a guy who's impersonating one of their officers. Police say a man in dark clothing pulled over 2 women in the past week. Both women went to the real police when they figured out that the guy who pulled them over faked being an officer. The West Plains police chief says officers will always confirm your location to dispatch and run your license plate number. If you know who the impersonator might be, you are asked to call the police department.
An El Dorado Springs woman will spend the next 2.5 years in prison for embezzlement. Prosecutors say Regina Allison stole more than $380,000 from Allison Tire Company and Allison Oil and Auto Supply over 4 years. Court records show she was fired in 2015 after supervisors discovered she forged checks using her employer's name to pay fake businesses she created for personal profit. Springfield is seeing another spike in car break-ins and thefts.
And police say if you leave your car unlocked, you could be next. The latest crime numbers show a drastic increase in car thefts in Springfield. Police say nearly 1,000 cars have been reported stolen so far this year, and that's nearly double last year's rate. One Springfield mom knows firsthand how fast it can happen.
It's opened my eyes a lot, because I always just thought, it's okay, there's nothing in here in my car to steal, some CDs. But then to come find out they found a way to start my car without a key and back out.
Well, police still say prevention is the key. Don't leave your keys in the car, lock your doors, and don't leave valuables in plain sight.
A Springfield emergency shelter for women is facing a desperate situation. Safe to Sleep provides help to homeless women, and it's a mission becoming more difficult without enough volunteers. Between 25 and 50 women stay there nightly, and the shelter has been short on help in recent weeks. At one point, organizers discussed some drastic measures for the future.
We talked about the possibility of whether we can close several days. And my staff, there are 3 of us, and we decided we wouldn't be able to go home and sleep if we knew the women were out there, because we really come to care about each one.
When they show up and they have the weight of the world on their shoulders, but they're still smiling, they're still friendly, they're still helpful, and it just motivates me to be a better person.
The shelter hasn't closed for a single night in 6 years. If you'd like to help, we have information online at ky3.com. From rides and games to food on a stick, gates open today to the Ozark Empire Fair.
KY3's Kate Alt has the rundown this morning. Kate?
Well, if you've waited all year to get your hands on some of that fried fair food, you're in luck. You can see all the food vendors lined up there behind me. They are ready to start serving that food tonight for the first day of the 81st Ozark Empire Fair. The food vendors actually have to attend a class before visitors start showing up, so the last one will be held at 10 this morning. But of course, there's a lot more to the fair than just the food. They've got some big names on the grandstand stage this year, including Daughtry, Randy Hauser, and King and Country. Organizers do try to switch things up a little bit from year to year while still keeping the fair staples. Seeing kids come in with their parents, making the fair a family tradition, is the best part.
It's the experience, it's the memories, but still, when the staple is the food. You know, it's like I know one of our new items is deep fried mac and cheese, and it's really good.
I cannot wait to get my hands on that. If you want to have some of the fair food, you have until August 5th to do that. That is the last day of the fair. So again, starts tonight, and tonight is KY3 night as well. So come on out to the fairgrounds. You can say hi to us, grab a couple autographs as well, walk around and get all that you can get out of the fair. Live in Springfield, Kate Alt, KY3 News.
All right, thank you, Kate. Next on Ozarks Today, it's the first of its kind, the new hearing implant that connects to Apple devices and what it could mean for thousands of people.
Time now is 7:41. Brandon's next with the county's under a flash flood warning in the Ozarks and the record flooding in Kansas City this morning.
What a situation up in Kansas City this morning. They had, from about 1 o'clock this morning on, an absolutely torrential deluge there. You can just see, I mean, look at all that water. Several inches of rain, anywhere between 3 and nearly 8 inches. I saw a report earlier this morning, south side of Kansas City, at 7.95. That is a whole lot of water over a metro area. As you can imagine, big problems. One of the biggest areas, you saw that picture there, that's along Indian Creek. That's the river gauge that measures the water level. It is at 27, just a hair under 28 feet. That is a record, and that's about 2.5 feet over the previous record. So water rescue is going on down there. They've got 4 boats on site trying to rescue people at that location there. They had water well up into all those businesses, and it was at a point where some people were in there. So the water is beginning to recede a little bit, but big problems up in Kansas City, and that same system is moving into the Ozarks. Thankfully, not that heavy. But we still have some pretty decent rain and some flash flood warnings in effect. There's Kansas City, north side of your top of your screen there. But we've got Vernon, Cedar, St. Clair, Northern Polk, Hickory, Benton, and a good chunk of Camden County and the very far northwestern tip of Dallas County under flash flood warnings until just after the lunch hour. The southern flank of that until about 1:15. So here's the radar. Heaviest rain now south of the initial warning area, but a nice soaking rain. I've heard of a little over 2 inches near Warsaw, a little over an inch around Lake of the Ozarks. We've had an inch and a third or so at Cross Timbers. This is exactly what we need. The flooding threat seems to be fairly small at this point, given that the torrential rain has moved on south a bit. But just watch out for those low water crossings. I know it's been dry, but boy, you get a lot of water in a short time, it can cause some issues. Springfield, more of just a light rain right now, but there is heavier rain not far away. Bolivar, Pleasant Hope, all the way to Greenfield. Stockton still getting some good rain. Mount Vernon, decent rain. And this spreads east. I mean, this is just a nice rain for the majority of us, and it continues to drop slowly to the southeast. So while it's not as torrential as it was in Kansas City, this is actually a good thing for us because it's going to get a lot of us anyway. A nice little rain this morning. So far here at our studios, we're just shy of a quarter inch of rain. Of course, we'll add to that just a bit. As you go into Arkansas, nothing yet. You get into far southern Missouri, not a lot yet. So the question is, how long does this survive? Futurecast actually doing a pretty good job with the placement on this right now. So I think the scenario that it has unfolding is pretty close. It really makes sense. So the initial line, or the blob, I guess you could say, will continue dropping southeast, and with time, later this morning and early afternoon, it should essentially fall apart. Low-level jet stream that is feeding this kind of weakens a bit, but there is still a cold front that'll be coming in. So I think we're going to get some at least partial sun. Temps are going to come up, and then we see some scattered redevelopment through the afternoon, and those could produce some very heavy rain, more localized perhaps, but we've got an absolute ton of moisture in the atmosphere right now, and that's going to feed some big downpours in the spots. And then the cold front will continue dropping south. So I think it'll become more scattered, but it still could produce some heavy rain here and there. Temp still 76, even with the rain. I mean, this is like tropical stuff here. 77 at Branson, Harrison 78. Steadier rain to the north, low 70s, and temps are going to be varied. Let's just put it that way. Now, I'm going on the high side here, admittedly. Now, if I end up having to lower this, are any of you going to whine? Raise your hand. I doubt it. We're talking upper 80s, low 90s on the top end. It very well could stay in the lower 80s, but I expect the sun to come out for at least a time later on in the afternoon. So the best chance of the widespread rain will be this morning, and it may redevelop in more scattered fashion this afternoon. Tonight's low, 72 to 74. That's even with the north wind kicking in. We don't really dry the atmosphere out that quickly, and I still think there could be a few showers and storms around. In fact, I'd say far southern Missouri and northern Arkansas may have a few storms early tomorrow morning. We'll get some sun, clearing from north to south, temp about 85 tomorrow. Still somewhat humid, but it's better than 95, right? Saturday, Sunday, full sunshine. Temps are going to drop low to mid 80s for highs through Sunday and even early next week. Lows could be as cool as the upper 50s. It is a fantastic weekend to do camping, fishing, just be outdoors and enjoy it.
All right, breaking news out of Kansas City. Water rescue underway right now near 103rd and Warnall. This is outside Coach's Bar and Grill.
We'll have an update on the situation right after this. We're following breaking news. You're looking live at an emergency water rescue happening in Kansas City at this hour. This is near Coach's Bar and Grill. This is at 103rd and Warnall, south of the downtown area. And Paul, you were saying earlier, a number of people were trapped in this business upstairs.
2 in Coach's Bar and Grill. They scrambled up into the rafters. The owner told local media by cell phone that a wall collapsed. They scrambled up and the water rose in just minutes. Another business reporting that they have an employee trapped inside. There are 2 rescue boats on scene trying to rescue those 2 people trapped inside Coach's Bar and Grill.
We'll have more updates after this.
Welcome back. We're following breaking news in Kansas City at this hour. Water rescue underway. You're seeing the Kansas City Fire Department in action right now trying to save 2 people.
Climbing on top of this business because of the swelling Indian Creek. It crested at 28 feet, more than 2 feet above the record there. And at least 2 people are trapped in coaches. Is that correct, Paul?
So yes, inside coaches is what local media is reporting, and that the owner said that one wall collapsed and they scrambled up into the rafters, and you see these guys with chainsaws.
They have chainsaws, so it looks like they're going to attempt to cut through part of the building to reach those people who are trapped at this hour.
And Brandon's here with us, and this is record flooding.
It is for them. You know, you get the right amount of water in the right spot, and it can just do wonders, and they've been very dry as well. But widespread reports across Kansas City between 4 and 8 inches of rain overnight. This really reminds me back in West Plains and that general area back in early April or late April, early May. And the flooding continues, although Indian Creek is starting to recede just a bit. So conditions will improve, but right now they've got to get those people out of there.
Yeah, and there's another business reporting they have a worker trapped too. It's a barbecue business in this same area. And a number of different creeks are cresting right now. Turkey Creek, and you have another creek, Maria.
Tomahawk Creek in Overland Park and Leawood, also threatening homes and businesses. I've texted family to make sure everyone is okay.
We'll be right back.